it's going to impact a lot of people who needs to hear that and needs that surety, especially uh, in the type of world we live in right now, where there's so much condemnation and so much tearing down of people. With there's not this love fest going on. We don't take the time out to appreciate people while they're here, give them the flowers while they're here.
Yeah.
So with that said, we're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to check in with Karen, and come back and give you guys some more cool things to take away. If you made it this far, you're going to hear a quick interrupter, and then we'll be right back.
Before we continue, I want to let you in on an amazing opportunity. Karen Lauri is offering a free 5-day mindset makeover challenge. If you've ever felt stuck or unsure about how to move forward in your mental health journey, this challenge is for you. Visit Karen's website to sign up for free. Don't miss out on a chance to learn from one of the best and start making real, lasting change in your life today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, my Transformers out there, and I hope you guys are enjoying this episode as much as I am. We love to hear from you in the comment section. But let's get back to just some more great stuff from Karen, who's here with us. You help so many clients transform their lives. We talked about that earlier, but I think it'll be great to if you just share maybe a story or two about some clients who overcame some of their subconscious programming, which we learned that subconscious programming, it is not, it's not necessarily a bad thing because we need the subconscious, but there are things that we shouldn't let loop around. And, you gave a real good strategy for us that we can implement right away, where we can just put on some music and pick out some of the favorite things of our music and kind of turn that into a rendition of our own subconscious programming. But what kind of impact have some of these things you work with, had on their lives?
Yeah. For example, one client bought a used car, and then took it to a shop to get something done with it. She then, I guess there was a rain, and the car flooded inside. And she called the shop and said, "Can you fix my car?" They said, "No, no." And it was flooded. She couldn't get the water out. She called the place where she bought it. They said it's past 30 days. So she didn't know what to do. She did get a rental car from her insurance, but she was just panicked, and she was freaking out. She thought it was going to be so expensive, and she was panicked, and she couldn't get help. Nobody at the car shop would help her. Nobody at the car sales place would help her. The insurance helped her, but otherwise she was panicked. And she was talking about it one day, and I remembered when she was 5, that I learned this from talking to her earlier. She'd been sexually abused by a cousin, and she came to tell her mom and her aunts who were in the house, and they laughed at her. They didn't help her.
Mm.
So she grew up with this subconscious belief that no one can help you. That's what was being triggered with the car. She didn't even believe when I was saying this that it could have any correlation. But we worked on shifting that belief. And this was in a group call. We worked on shifting that belief and getting it so that she knew that she could be helped. That was on a Wednesday night. Thursday morning, 7 a.m., she calls me and she says, "Karen, you're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" And she said, "My insurance called and said I could have the car for another month, rental car for another month. The guy at the shop where I had been taking it and asking questions and trying to get help for the last month called this morning and said, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to be the one that's responsible to make sure it gets taken care of. I will make sure you get the help you need." And then the car place where she bought the car from called and said, "Look, if you can't get this fixed, we'll take it back." And all of this happened when she changed her subconscious mind by recognizing that she could be helped. But she wasn't aware that she had that bad programming, that she could never be helped. And so, she hadn't been aware of it until that session. And it was amazing how like when you look back on her life before that moment, people weren't helping her. Then she told me, like a little while later, she lives in this she lives in a nice, not in a really nice neighborhood, but in a small little apartment. And
Yeah.
so she's taking a walk, and this neighbor says to her, you're always so kind to me. He said, I want to give you this. And he had an envelope with him, and he just gave it to her, and she said thank you. She didn't know what it was. She went back to her place, and he gave her $1,000. This is somebody who's like wanted more money,
Well,
right? So her
yeah.
consciousness had shifted, and now she didn't even know him that well. She had had conversations with him, but she didn't know him. And he did it again a couple weeks later. So she was getting money out of the blue. And then somebody else gave her money. And then somebody else gave her some gifts. And like she started realizing people are helping me. And it was so fascinating because once she started to put it into practice, she's a very independent girl. She's
Mhm.
amazing. She can do all these things on her own. But when she started putting this into practice, the whole universe responded. All around her, the
Well,
universe responded, and it took care of her. And so that's one example. I have so many, but that's one example. Do you want one more?
and it, yeah, you know what? There was one more because people will say, "Oh, that sounds so magical," but it's real work. And I think one more story would just like kind of emphasize that. That's great.
So I had a client who lived in another country. She was on disability and she couldn't walk. She had some um, physical neurological issue. And she couldn't make money because she was on disability in her country. So she wasn't allowed to work. So we started to work on her consciousness about money. And she was living a kind of meager life because just wasn't that money. And she had to go to the disability place every week to get the money that she needed. So they wouldn't even give it to her for a month, and she had to go. And she was hard for her. She had to drive. She couldn't walk. She had a lot of things. So we start working on it, and she starts shifting a lot of belief systems. And out of the blue, her ex-husband, she'd had 2 kids with him. Her ex-husband reaches out and says, I've never paid you alimony or supported the kids. I want to make
Well,
amends, and here is this money. And so he gave her some sum of money that was miraculous to her.
mhm.
Then both of her kids were going to college, and both ended up getting scholarships, so she didn't have to pay for that. Then her daughter lived in the same town, was going to go to school in the same town, and said, I'll come stay with you. I'll take care of you. I'll cook for you. I'll do that. And then I'll go to school. And is that okay? And she was like, yes, please. And, I can take you to things, if you need to go somewhere, I can go shopping for you and all that kind of stuff. So that happened. And then she goes to the disability place, and people were putting money in her meter when she was too long in the disability place or other places she was
Well,
going. So people, like, the whole universe, they didn't know her. They didn't see her. They just putting money in her meter extra to make sure she's not getting a ticket, right? So she
right.
goes into the disability place, and they see her every week, and they're seeing her transform. So one day, one of them said to her, you're getting disability, so you're not allowed to work unless you work with us. Would you like to work with us? We can pay you. You will work at home. It'll just be on the computer. You can kind of work at your schedule, but we'll
Mhm.
pay you so you'll be able to get a little bit of extra money as well. And she was like, oh my God. So so it really was great because her consciousness shifted. And it
Yeah.
was a consciousness of lack because she'd been she had an amazing talent. She was very, very talented, but she couldn't do her talent anymore because of this neurological thing. And so she had this lack because she'd been traveling all over the world doing a talent, doing all this stuff. And now she uh, had that lack consciousness until she started working with me, and we shifted it. And she was just became this, she became more abundant. She started doing more things that were fun. She started doing more things that were sexy
Well,
for her. She became more of herself.
yeah.
And so it was just beautiful. So that kind of stuff. And she didn't know that her lack of her thinking about her inability to move or to play the music that she had played or to do these things was creating a lack in her consciousness.
Um,
But I could see it, and we had talked about it. again before. And so I got it. And that's how we started to shift stuff. And it's just amazing, so.
Truly is, it truly is amazing. And I was, I would definitely, put, my money on it that once these transformations start happening for a lot of these people that they, they can't believe it themselves.
It's
Yeah.
kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
them are, a lot of them are like, I cannot believe what is happening to me. This
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think,
yeah, I just feel so
no, go
thankful
ahead.
because
Go
I get
ahead.
people that are willing to work. I get people that are willing to do the work. And when they do the work, because I don't want to be the guru. I
Yeah.
want them to be empowered so that they
Right.
can do this themselves, so that they can heal themselves. So I teach them, I help them do it, when they're new and they can't do it, but I also teach them how to do it for themselves so that they can really have the power and own the power, right? I mean,
Right.
part of the thing that I didn't like when I was going to therapy all the time was that it was always the therapist was going to fix me. Nobody can fix
Uh-huh.
us. We have to be willing to do the work. Yeah, people can help, people can inspire you, but a lot of people, a lot of doctors and therapists, they want the patients. And I'd rather you thrive. I like money. I
Yeah.
don't mind being paid, but I would rather see you thriving. That's where I get my juice, is
Yeah.
from watching other people get what they want. I've always loved that, even when I was a kid.